Hello, hockey fans, and welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner of Michigan, an educational podcast dedicated to the promotion of high school hockey by interviewing coaches and players from various regions across the state. I'm your host, Andy Weidenbach. These podcasts will serve as a resource of information for current coaches and players, as well as for prospective student athletes considering playing high school hockey in the future. Today's podcast is brought to you by Stream Cortex for all your hockey needs. Our guests today are Corey Markham, head coach of Houghton High School, along with two of his former players, Conor Hannon and Raymond Brice. Some of the topics we'll be discussing on this show are lessons on leadership and why culture matters. Enjoy the show. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. Hopefully we'll have a little fun and talk some hockey. We'll get right in. We'll dive right into this. You guys are our first guests from the Upper Peninsula. I'm excited to get started here. I know when our team went up to the UP, it was always one of our best trips of the season. We made a good trip out of it. We visited the Quincy Mine and Michigan Tech, and we had some good experiences in the UP. So I guess, Coach, can you tell us maybe how hockey in the UP may be a little different from hockey downstate?
Well, yeah, the biggest thing with hockey in the UP is you have your hometown pride, and I think that's probably the biggest difference, maybe, because they're all small towns, especially when you're talking about some of the bigger areas at downstate, but they're small towns that everyone grows up, seeing the high school teams and everyone going to the high school games, and it just. You end up having so much pride in your school and your colors. And, I would say that's probably the biggest influence of the UP hockey and high school hockey, how it is.
Yeah, I agree. We love going to the UP. I think hockey in the UP is a little bit like hockey in Sweden. Sweden's a small country. It's not heavily populated. They take a lot of pride in hockey. It's a big deal there. And they produce a lot of great hockey players. And I think if you look through the history of the UP or hockey in the UP, you'll see small towns, like you said, Houghton and Hancock and Calumet, the Sioux, Marquette. Much like Sweden, small towns, but they produce a lot of really good hockey players. It's really amazing how much hockey is how much pride there is in hockey in that area. You're right. We've had some great coaches on this show. This is our fourth podcast. And one of the things we've been talking about, some really successful coaches that have great winning records. And one of the things that they talked about was culture, team chemistry, teamwork, life skills, leadership. And there hasn't been much talk about winning. And I know you've had a great program up there in Houghton for a number of years, very successful. What do you guys focus on, or what do you focus on as a coach in your program with all the success that you've had?
To me, the number one emphasis when you come into our program is work ethic. I have two main core rules, pretty much. Is you have to work your butt off, and you have to be a good person. Those are the two things I strive for, and I the team hears it from the very first day, and it is part of the culture, and is what, again, this is my 23rd year, so everyone that comes in program knows what is expected. It's hit hard right at the beginning, and it carries on, from generation, from each group, players like Conor and Ray and that have led the way, but to me, work ethic is number one emphasis, because that carries on to every facet of life.
Yeah, it's interesting you should say that. We had on John Bacon from Ann Arbor, Huron, not too long ago, and those were the exact two things that they focused on, work ethic and being a good teammate, being a good person. And it's important. You can win a lot of games if you have good team chemistry and a good culture. I think some rookie coaches get a little confused with winning at all costs, and they try to, or they think that winning at all costs is going to make them have a good program. When if you're building a good program, I guess you have to have a good foundation, like you said, and you have to have good culture. So I guess, I mean, from a small town up in the UP, is there any extra pressure on you as a coach? I mean, everybody knows you. You're very, very visible in the community. Or is there any extra pressure on the players, growing up in that community, playing hockey in Houghton?
I don't know about extra pressure. You're very visible, obviously, so you got to stay out of trouble. If any little thing happens, word travels fast in a small town. So, that's probably the biggest deal with a small town like that. But everyone's very visible. Everyone knows who plays on the hockey team and who's who. So there's that pressure, and I'm just not doing anything stupid and causing giving yourself a bad name in the community.
So you're more than just a coach. I mean, you work at the school. You've been there for 23, I think 24 years. And, you have a lot more responsibility to your players and to the school. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What your responsibilities are? I mean, you monitor your players off the ice. I'm sure you're concerned about their well-being at all times. Can you tell us a little bit about the extra responsibility that goes along with being a high school coach?
Yeah, there's a lot of coaches throughout the state that don't work at their school, that, they're out, they have different jobs and they come in, they coach a team. I'm extremely fortunate. I'm a PE teacher at Houghton High School. It's my 24th year. And with that, I get to have, not all of them, but the great majority of the kids are in my classes throughout the day. So I have that contact nonstop. There's always stuff that comes up with scheduling or things changing. So you're right there in school and you can make the changes with the kids, firsthand, face to face. But I'm just extremely fortunate to be able to have the job that I have, to be with them, all day, and then at practice, you get to know them as people much better than if you just coach. So I feel extremely fortunate for the job that I have and what I'm able to do.
Yeah, I guess it's a double-edged sword a little bit when you're in the position you're in. You have all that extra responsibility, but it's a gratifying job when you see the success that your players have had and the programs. I know there's some really intense rivalries up there in the UP, especially with Houghton and Hancock being so close, and then you guys have had some really good battles with Calumet over the years. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those rivalries?
Yeah, those are extremely intense. It's with both there, depending on which team during your years. A lot of times it'll be Houghton and Hancock are a little bit more intense because what happens with our junior hockey program is combined Houghton Hancock kids along with Jeffers, and they go to different schools. So you're playing together growing up, and then high school comes and you split apart into two different teams or three different teams with Jeffers. So you're friendly, but then when the game time comes, you want those bragging rights even more. So it can be really intense. Whereas Calumet, you're not usually the teammates. They have their own junior hockey association, and so you pretty much grow up hating Calumet from the get-go, and so that natural intensity and rivalry is right from the get-go when you're a young kid. So the rivalries up here, rival anything downstate, and it's just a lot of pride on all sides of the river.
Yeah, I agree. It's fun to play hockey in the UP. We've really enjoyed it, as I said before, and you can sense the intensity when you're in the community, we'd be in the restaurants and people would be talking, go beat Houghton or go beat Calumet, depending on where we were at. If we were in Calumet, they'd say beat Houghton. If we were in Houghton, they'd say beat Calumet. But yeah, the people were very passionate about hockey in the UP. It's really a fun place to play. So you're coaching golf and hockey up there. You're working in the school. How do you find time to balance all this? Plus, you have a family. I see your son's playing on the team now. How do you balance all this out?
Having a tremendous wife. My wife has, I wasn't married when I started coaching high school, and now we've been married 20 years, but she raised the 3 kids, especially in the winter months, extremely hard. So she took the brunt of it. We managed to get through, but she's been the backbone for us. And for me, I coached all these years. I would help coach my son's teams when in junior hockey as an assistant a lot. But for me, it's the culmination of putting all the years in where I'm able to coach my son now, and it's just an absolute blast. And, for me, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know how many more years I'm going to be doing it, but my son graduates next. He's a junior right now, and so I have a big decision to make then, whether I continue to keep coaching high school or not, as I have a younger daughter that's a very good basketball player, and I'd be missing a lot of her stuff. So, in 2 years here, I have a big decision to make.
Yeah, it's a lot of time. I don't think people realize how much time a high school coach puts in outside of just the on-ice part of the game. And I think maybe that's something you could touch on here. I'm sure there's going to be some people listening to this podcast or some coaches listening to this podcast, and or somebody maybe even thinking about coaching. And can you tell us a little bit about the amount of time that's required as a coach? I know the season runs from November 1st to maybe middle of March if you make it all the way to the state finals. But I'm sure there's a lot of extra time you're putting in before practice and in the preseason and postseason, et cetera. Can you tell us, a little bit about how much time is required?
Yeah, it's kind of changed for me over the years, and in the last few years, gotten way more into the weight training stuff in the summertime with our groups. One of my assistant coaches here, Micah Stipich, is also the football coach, and so we've been combining the hockey and the football kids together, and get really hitting the weight room hard in the summer. So you have that coverage a lot in the summer. There's fall teams locally that our players will play on that you'll help out some as much as possible. And once you get into the season, it's the amount of time you put in is unbelievable. As a coach, you go all day and you're planning whatever practice, and then you run your practice and you're thinking about your next opponent and scouting them, and you come home and you have dinner and your wife wants to talk or your kids want and it's just really hard to shut off. You need to get out of the hockey mode. It's just extremely hard to do. But anyone that's done it, for as long as we have, you have a love for it, and the grinding is part of it. But you definitely have to grind.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It is definitely a grind. It's a lot more than meets the eye. That's for sure. Houghton, small town, small Division III school, and I know in some of the bigger schools downstate, a lot of the kids or a lot of the players, I should say, are kind of one-dimensional. They just play hockey. That's all they do. And I know when we used to play Calumet in the UP, a lot of their guys played football and played other sports. Do the kids on the typical athlete at Houghton High School, would they play hockey and another sport, maybe hockey football or hockey baseball, or do they just play hockey? What's kind of how does that work up there?
Yeah, we get a lot of people, it goes in spurts where there'd be a long stretch where you had a lot of football kids that played hockey, and then you have a stretch where not a lot of the hockey players would play football. Our football program over the years is not perennially strong. But it's had some really good years, and generally when they've had good years, it's because our athletes are playing, our hockey players are playing football. And like right now, my son, he's a very good football player, and the top players, all the top players on our team right now are all football players basically. And so you see that happening, and then into golf and playing baseball together. And so the great majority are three sport athletes right now at Houghton.
Yeah, I think that's one of the benefits of playing high school hockey is, if you play travel hockey, I know in the downstate area, it's such a huge commitment. It's 9 months, sometimes even more than that, depending on how successful your team is in the national tournament. But, it's an 8 to 9 month commitment. And if you play high school hockey, you have the flexibility or the ability to play a fall sport and a spring sport if you so desire. So I think that's one of the huge benefits about playing high school hockey. And you're right. I think, your multi-sport athletes seem to be your better athletes. I mean, they seem to be the guys that excel in all sports. So I think that's a huge benefit. We're going to segue over to Conor, but before we put Conor on the hot seat, maybe you can tell us a little bit about Conor as a player, as a person, and how he added value to the Houghton hockey program.
Yeah, absolutely. So Conor, he's, he and Ray are the top two all-time scorers in Houghton hockey history. So the talent level was, off the charts. Probably the most intense player I've ever had. A rink rat that hated to lose. So there's people that love to win, and there's people that hate to lose. And Conor was always a kid that hated to lose. And I don't care what the sport was. We're playing PE class. He would figure out a way to win no matter what. And because he hated to lose that much. And that just rubbed off on our team. In all my years, my most successful stretch was when these two were there, and it was because of that commitment, just that hating to lose mantra. They just really had that.
Yeah, we had a couple of guys on our team. You probably remember these guys. I think maybe Conor and Raymond might have even played against them. We had Patrick Brown and Christopher Brown, and those guys were wired the exact same way. We played ball. We had a ball hockey tournament one time at Cranbrook, during exam week, because we weren't allowed to have a formal practice. And I remember those guys playing ball hockey like it was the seventh game of the Stanley Cup. I mean, they're breaking sticks over the net when they missed the ball and all that crazy stuff. But you're right. I mean, that hate to lose attitude, it's very powerful, and it does help your team. And I also noticed in my notes here, it says that Conor was all-time leader in assists. And then in my notes, it says, by the way, Corey was second. So I'm thinking, Coach, you have control of the score sheets, right? I mean, after every game, all you have to do is rub out that number, and you're gonna remain number one. He took that award away from you.
Yeah, it was funny when it was coming up on it. He knew he was coming up on it. Where we're at, and I teased. I was like, well, I guess you're going to see a lot fewer shifts in this game, so you don't pass me up. But yeah. It was bound to happen again. His talent levels, again, off the charts.
I just had to chuckle when I saw that. I'm thinking, man, you could have kept that record for a long time.
That's right.
Anyway, Conor, I guess you were born in Germany and grew up in Houghton, and now you're back in Germany playing hockey. Can you tell us a little bit about how all that came about?
Yeah, so after college, I was kind of thinking about what future plans were here, and I knew I didn't want to go right into the workforce. So I was thinking, let's go try and play and take a shot at it. And so I flew over to Germany, kind of on a limb here, was sleeping on couches and stuff, and finally got a tryout with a team in Leipzig, and then ended up signing with them and have been here in Leipzig ever since.
Nice. So you were born in Germany, but I guess your parents relocated to Houghton. Is that what happened? Is that how you ended up in Houghton?
Yeah, so my dad played at Michigan Tech, and
Okay.
my mom is from Houghton, so that's how they
Gotcha.
met. And then my dad played over in Germany for 12 years, I think, after he had a brief pro stint in North America and then came to Germany. So both me and my sister were born over here. And then after he retired from hockey, then relocated back to Houghton. So
Oh, I see.
that's
Okay.
home for me.
Yeah, nice. Must have been nice for him coming back home and seeing his family and friends, and then you get a chance to play at Houghton, and now you're playing in Germany. It looks like it's gone full circle.
Yeah, crazy
Can
how
you
that
tell us
works.
a little bit what it's like playing in Germany? Like, are there any differences in your opinion, sort of, versus the North American style, or is it pretty much the same?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the biggest obvious difference is the size of the ice. We play on Olympic sheets over here, and North America's all NHL size, with a few here and there Olympic sheets. But it gives you so much more time and space. It's a completely different game as far as how teams are forechecking. You don't see a dump and chase on an Olympic sheet. If someone's dumping the puck, it's a wholesale line change, and it's a trap in the neutral zone. And then, yeah, it's just things like that. I think over here there's a lot less hitting and physicality, fighting, all that kind of stuff. It's more of a skill game and more of a thinking man's game. So, and I think that goes well with my strengths, being able to play a little bit more with my head and a little bit less with my body, being a little bit undersized. So,
Yeah, speaking of hockey, I mean, it looks like, you were playing forward for a while, and then in college you switched to defense. Why the switch? What happened there?
yeah. So when I was playing at Finlandia, we were struggling on the back end, and actually Micah Stipich, was with me and Raymond and Corey all at Houghton with us for our 4 years, and then he was actually coaching me at Finlandia. Now he's back with Houghton. He was the one who had the idea to switch me back to defense, just for a little help during that first season. And then, yeah, whatever we liked, we ran with it and been playing defense ever since.
Yeah, this is a question we ask all the players, all the guest players. How did playing hockey at Houghton prepare you for, the playing college hockey and then playing professional hockey in Germany?
Yeah, I think playing at Houghton and like playing for Corey is like when you go to the rink, that there's an expectation that you're there to work. It's not just all fun and games, but when you go to the rink, and you got to be ready to work, and you got to be ready to battle, and like not taking any days for granted. So I think just leading from there, from high school, for me it still was the funnest hockey I'll ever play. Playing in front of your hometown, playing in front of your friends and your colleagues who you're going to school with. I think that teaches you like a little bit about, responsibility and like Corey said, staying out of trouble, that kind of stuff. Sometimes things don't go 100% perfect, but you gotta make do. And for high school, it was just kind of learning how to be a young man and learning how to project yourself. And I think we owe, both me and Raymond and several other players, owe a lot to Corey for just kind of teaching us how to, be as people, let alone coaching us on the ice surface as well.
Yeah, that comes up in all of our podcasts on how important it is to be a good teammate and learn those life skills and be accountable, and how that stuff will carry on not only through your hockey career, but in life in general. So those life skills are critically important. And I think, high school coaches do a great job in that area of preparing kids for, the future. So congrats to Coach on that. And I'm sure he's proud of you guys and all your accomplishments, other than the fact that you passed him up on the all-time assist leader. He's probably still biting his tongue on that one. But, Raymond's been waiting. Oh, thanks for your time. I appreciate all your time and your insight. Raymond's been waiting here patiently in the wings, so we'll segue over to him. Coach, can you tell us a little bit about Raymond as a hockey player, as a person, and how he added value to the program in Houghton?
Yeah. So Ray's the biggest rink rat I've ever been around. There's never been a waking moment that if he had any possibility of being on an ice, he was on it. I live in a neighborhood that has an outdoor rink here in West Houghton that Ray lived in. He was constantly on the outdoor rink if there wasn't ice at the D. And his work ethic is second to none. He willed himself to be a Division I hockey player, from a young kid because of his drive and just he was going to do whatever it took to be a Division I hockey player, and he did it. And all the way to being a captain for the Michigan Tech Huskies. So again, his skill level was tremendous, but just that work ethic and just refused to lose attitude is what got him to where he is today.
Yeah, he has some amazing stats. Houghton all-time career goals, career points, goals in a season, co-captain his senior year, played at Michigan Tech. Some really nice accolades. And so Raymond, welcome to the show. And can you tell us a little bit about your experiences at Houghton and how it might have prepared you for your future in hockey?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I think one of the things that every coach says is they want people to come in their program and, leave a better person than you came in. And I think that's exactly what Corey does with every person that comes in. For me, I went to juniors right after high school, and I think he prepared me to bring that work ethic every day. And then he really, like Connor said, there's an expectation when you walk through those doors, through that locker room, that, it's business when you get on the ice, and you're expected to work your hardest every single day. I think you can go watch some other high school practices, and no practice will ever be as intense as coach's practice. I think he just expects that commitment every single day. And when you put that jersey on, it's the same thing, commitment and work ethic. And I think that, those have really brought me in my life. I played with kids from different backgrounds, and you can tell where the kids who've had, in the building years of high school, you can tell where those kids have had coaches like Coach Markham, that pushed their players in previous levels. And I think that was so helpful to me, and I owe a ton to him for that. So I'm looking at your bio here, and you've been a captain, you've won all kinds of awards and accolades everywhere you've been. And can you? I'm sure there's some players listening to this podcast. Can you tell us the importance of being a good teammate and how important that is? Not only as a player on your team, but maybe to set an example for some of the players, especially the younger guys, the rookies. Can you expand on that a little bit? Yeah, I think that's, being a good teammate is so important, because for me, a guy like, Corey said, I was skilled in high school, but, at other levels, I may not have been the most skilled guy. And it's pretty easy to weed out those guys that aren't as skilled when they're bad guys, right? So being able to bring that every day and just be a good teammate and be the best person that you can. The coaches will see that and they love that stuff. And, and your teammates will pick up on that as well. And they'll always be there to pick you up, when things aren't going your way. And, it helps the team, but it also helps you individually. So I think that's super important.
Can you tell us a little bit about, you guys have played through this pandemic, both as players, and
Sucks.
Coach, you've been through it as a coach, but can you just tell us how that's been for you? This pandemic has created all kinds of issues and maybe how you've gotten through them.
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing is, my biggest thing and self-quote through this pandemic is be thankful for every day, because you really don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? You don't know. You might not practice. Your season might end tomorrow. And it's looking like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, thankfully. But, in these past 2 years, it's been like that every day. And you have to be grateful for what you have. A lot of players in the past year didn't get to show up to the rink. They had to test. They had to sit at home for 2 weeks in certain time periods. So, I think just being grateful and living in the moment. I know in Kalamazoo, when we're down going in the third period, our coach will come in a lot, and it's been 600 days since we've had the opportunity to play, put that Wings jersey on. You just got to be grateful for where you're at. And I think a lot of players didn't realize how much they've missed hockey, and that's maybe been a pro of this pandemic, is when they've sat out and missed games and stuff like that. Being able to step back on the ice is kind of refreshing for a lot of players, I think, and guys that I've talked to, that didn't play last year. We're thankful that they're able to play again and continue playing. So I think just being grateful and thankful for your opportunity every day is super important.
Yeah, that's a good point. Conor, what about you? How has the pandemic affected play over in Germany?
Yeah, little different rules over here in Germany. Like Ray said, you got to be thankful for every day that you get to go to the rink and lace them up. We've had my first year was pretty locked down every day type stuff. And in Europe last year nothing was open, so it was tough. It was just to the rink and back home. This year is getting a little better. But yeah, it's tough mentally, and I think we can see that a lot more. And I think one good thing, good thing that's come out of it is people are talking about the mental side of it. Being in lockdown and only having certain options or a lot of limitations. For me, mentally, it was pretty tough my first year. But I think that helped me become stronger and, a better player, and little things like going to the rink in the summer. Now it's a privilege, and it's awesome, and it makes it that much more special. So.
Yeah, definitely makes you appreciate being able to get out there on the rink again and do something that you really love to do. Coach, I want to touch on something here real quick. I can't remember the year, but I'm going to say it's probably 2013, 14, or 15. We made our journey, Cranbrook that is, we made our journey to the UP. 14, was it 14?
Yeah.
14, yeah. You guys were on the team, right?
5-1.
Yeah. So
Sam
anyway,
Militic had 3 goals from the same spot.
Hey, we were up 1-0.
Yeah, we brought our team up north as we usually do, and we were supposed to play Calumet in our 2-game series, and Calumet had a down year that year, and Corey, I remember we made contact and we scheduled a game with you at D Stadium, and we got off the bus on Friday, and we knew you guys had a good team, and first period you guys were all over us, and we're like, holy smokes, this is we're going to get murdered here, and then I remember the second period we got a little bit better, but I think in that game, you guys might remember, I think Sam Militek might have scored 4 goals in that game. Sam ended up
signing all 5.
He scored all 5.
All 5, yeah. He ended up signing with the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's playing pro hockey in Chicago now in the American League. But yeah, Sammy got all 5 goals, and it was quite a game. I don't think it was a 5-goal game, but nevertheless, sometimes they go in when you least expect it. But the thing that we most remember about our trips up north, we did more than just play hockey. Like I said, we'd visit the Quincy Mine, we'd go to Michigan Tech, and the hospitality that you guys rolled out for us. I mean, I'll never forget that meal afterwards, and how nice and gracious the people were, and how they appreciated the game, and it was really a good experience, and I'll never forget that. So thanks for that. Can you? That was one of my great moments. I don't know if this is really not about me; it's about you guys, but it is about your program and how you guys really rolled out the red carpet for us, and we really appreciated that. Coach, can you tell us maybe a good memory you've had over the years, or a great experience, or something that's happened there in Houghton that has really meant a lot to you?
To me, what the biggest thing is, from when I first started coaching, how much it has changed in our schedule. So back when I started, we would play Hancock 6 times, Calumet 6 times, maybe Marquette a few times in our conference. very seldom did we get to see the downstate teams. It was very unusual. And now we have, I believe, 13. So we played 25 games. 14 of our games were against teams from downstate. So we have teams that travel up every year and want to come up to the Copper Country and experience, hockey up here and the culture. And we're extremely, we're a very giving community. And we're so thankful that people want to come up here and play us. So to me, I'm very proud of that. The teams want to come up here and play in our area, our little small little dot on Michigan. But I'm extremely proud of that. As those are just great memories. For me, the toughest, there's always agony and defeat. These guys, 13-14 season when you came up and you had 3 D1 commits on your first line there. You had Chris Brown and Militek and Austin Alger. I believe they're all, and that was a great game. You did beat us 5-1. But this group was my most talented team, and we got upset that year in the state state quarterfinal. You guys got upset that same year by Farmington, but there was no doubt in my mind that we had a shot, legit, and we had beaten the Sioux at Christmas time 8-0, and we played them in the quarterfinal, and they beat us 2-1. They scored at 20 seconds left to beat us. And just that gut wrench. I've never been so devastated for the loss, but that one loss was the absolute killer.
Yeah, I can relate. That's the same year we got beat by Farmington. You mentioned that. I think we outshot them. I don't think I'm exaggerating here, but I think we outshot them 72-14 and lost 3-2. And John Letherman was the goalie, and he was by far the best goalie I've ever seen in high school hockey. He ended up going to Michigan State, playing some junior hockey. But, yeah, I think we probably took over 90 shots at the net. The puck was in there the whole time.
Yeah.
And hockey's a crazy game, but Letherman stood on his ear, and, they ended up winning the state championship that year. And I think, nothing's better than having a hot goalie. You know that as a coach, and you guys know that as players. When you got a hot goalie, you might as well ride them. But, that was a crazy year for us as well. And, kind of a disappointment. I thought for sure that we would win the state championship. We did have a great team that year, and we just ran into a hot goalie. Conor, do you have any great memories that you can share with us playing at Houghton, or maybe even better, if you got a good coach story, that would even be better.
Yeah, I've got 2 great stories here that I would be remiss if I didn't tell. One is about me, Ray, and I guess Coach too. It's a quick one. We were doing a 2-on-2 in front of the net battle, and somehow we got tangled up, and Ray kicked me. Gave me a little kick. It was an innocent kick, and I was fuming, screaming, trying to fight Ray. And I don't know what Coach was thinking, but he put us right back in the drill. 2 seconds after, and blew the whistle. He's like, okay, go again. And I didn't even go for the puck. I just immediately dropped the stick and started trying to fight Ray.
I don't think anyone saw the kick, but I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
A good memory. Me and Conor, we had that competitive battle every day, and I think that's, I'll attest, I'm sure he will too, that made us better players at the end of the day, because we would bring it every day and battle each other. And, I'm sure Coach Markham wanted that too. As a coach, you see that, and everyone else wants in on that intensity in that battle.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, we love that as coaches. I can assure you that when guys play that hard, it rubs off on the rest of the guys. And so do you have a good coach story for us, Conor?
Yeah, this is a kind of an all-timer. And it all has to do with a couple haircuts. We were playing Jeffers at home, and back then Jeffers was having a tough couple years, and so there was 4 of us who went and got our haircuts. I got a mullet, And we decided to leave our helmets on the bench after warm-ups for, when you go out. And that was a big no-no.
Yeah.
And the way we responded to that was, I think we were up 1-0, and I think we got outshot, and we just got I think I threw a puck on net with 18 seconds left in the period and hit a skate and went in. And we were lucky to be up at home against Jeffers. And I just remember Coach walking in the door. And luckily we were in the old locker room because you could kind of sink back in your stall. And you didn't have to make direct eye contact. So everyone, as soon as that door opened, was kind of laid back in their stalls, And funny, Corey's kid, who's Camden, who's now playing for the Gremlins, was in there, and I think at this point he must have been 10 years, not even 10 years old, 8, 6, 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
And I just remember Coach walking in and he just goes, Camden, in the hall now. And then immediately everyone sunk back. And yeah, and between him and Micah,
I don't think I've ever seen a water bottle kick that hard.
Yeah.
He place kicked it like he was a field goal kicker in practice on the little peg.
Yeah.
And he set the they set the football. He placed the water bottle nice and gently on the floor, took about 5 steps back and gave all his effort into that water bottle.
I love it.
Yeah,
it. Even the coach has got some fire in the belly, right?
Yeah. Didn't see the Bucks the next day, that's for sure.
So to me, I don't I'm really against being cocky and being show off. It's just against my core, everything. And these kids, they did this behind our back. They left. We had no idea they did this. And we went out for the game and we saw them all standing, skating around with no helmets on. And we were just livid. We couldn't believe that they did that to us. And we, like you said, they paid for that exercise.
Yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to be at that next practice. Raymond, what do you got for us? You got any good stories?
Yeah, I got a good story. Yeah, we were, I think it was my senior year, we were at the Trenton Showcase. And there was this kick going around where guys would put things on Craigslist for free. And they would, when they put this thing on Craigslist, they would put a free TV. You get a free TV or whatever. And then they'd put this other guy's number. So I'll put a free TV up on Craigslist, but I'll put Connor's number, a 52-inch flat screen or whatever. And Connor gets a million calls saying, hey, I want this TV for free. Well, one of the guys threw a snake up there and put a picture of, it was some rare poison. I don't know if it's poisonous or what the deal was, but somehow the state police got a hold of the picture that somebody was giving away a free snake and it was an illegal snake in Michigan or something along those lines. Well, I remember, so this kid's getting calls, and then I think Coach ended up getting a call from the state police. My memory might be a little bit fogged here, but saying that there's a snake. One of his players has a legal snake he's selling or whatever, and on Craigslist. And I remember he couldn't find us all in the hotel, but he was so mad he came down to the lobby. He's like, there must have been 10 of us in the lobby. He's like, get in a room. So he files us in this conference room and read us the riot act. And I thought that was pretty funny. That was a good one.
That's awesome. There's nothing more fun than playing a practical joke on the coach, right?
I got a call from the city of Houghton, the police chief. His kid was on the team, and he asked me what do you know about this rare snake that Marcus is trying to sell? I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. The state police have called me, and they have this rare snake that they say they have for sale. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Never a dull moment, right?
Oh.
I remember when Calumet came down to visit us one day when Jim Crawford was with the team. We, Pat Ronayne and I, hid in the lobby, and we had the lady at the front desk call Crawford's room and say, hey, you got to come down here right now. One of your players threw a television out the window. And Crawford came down there, he was looking around. Pat Ronayne and I were hiding in the flower beds or something. We were just watching his expression. I thought he was going to have a heart attack.
That's good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Those high school days, I mean, like Conor mentioned, those are some of the best days of your life. You're in your community, you're playing with your buddies, and now you guys are playing pro hockey, and it's a business, right? Pro hockey is a business. It's a little different than the dynamics, a little different than high school hockey, and I think some of the best times of your life are being a high school athlete. So, we appreciate you guys sharing your stories and telling us a little bit about life in Houghton and how it is to be a hockey player in Houghton, growing up in a small town like that. Coach, is there anything else you want to add before we sign off here?
No, I know that people are going to be listening now, not on the video, but like this one, my all-time favorite pictures right here. This shows the leadership of these two kids. They went on to play Division I and Division, 3. Conor could have easily been a Division I player, but they are both captains of their team, and that's that just says a lot what everyone else thinks about them. Teammates think about them at the next level, and everywhere they've been leaders. And I have so many players that I'm proud of, but I'm so proud of these two guys.
Yeah, the bios are pretty incredible. I'm sorry we didn't have time to go over all of the accolades, but yeah, these are definitely players that you can tell that their leadership capabilities are there. Everywhere they've been captains, and they've done a great job both on and off the ice. So we appreciate your time today and taking time out of your busy schedule. And Conor, thanks for making time for us. I know there's a big time change between where we're at and where you're at in Germany. So thanks for making this happen for us. And good luck, Coach, this season. And Conor and Raymond, good luck in all your future endeavors.